There are some big changes coming to crafting in 0.5, and especially since they've added this line in the updated patch notes recently where all crafted modifiers are now guaranteed, but items can only have one crafted modifier at a time. Desecrated modifiers no longer count as crafted modifiers, but items are limited to one desecrated modifier. So this is going to impact greatly how you progress your character in terms of its gear, whereas before you had the option to multi-step process to stack multiple different crafting options such as essences and abyss together in order to create like the perfect type of weapon or armor that you wanted. But now you will only get to choose one of those crafting options and you only get one shot at it, and that means that you're only basically going to have one or two modifiers that you actually want, and the rest they probably want you to rely more on exalted orbs and that sort of stuff. So the usage of exalted orb is going to go higher, and this is probably what they are intending for. Now, it is slightly okay in terms of the way that you're going to gear in the mid-tier game or mid-tier aspect of the game, as it removes any annoying RNG or random luck that you will have in terms of your crafting. So now if, for example, you wanted a specific resistance or a flat damage stat, you can just craft it and it will have a 100% chance to work. But in terms of late game progression and gearing, you're kind of halted quite a bit here with this change, as you are locked to only one mod now that you can craft, and you can no longer rely on these crafting options that you had before, whereas you had essences and you can have sort of your abyss crafting and that sort of stuff to multi-craft and use all of them in one item to kind of guarantee you at least 4 mods, maybe more on an item, whereas now you're guaranteed to have one mod. Now my guess is that they want to do this because they want you to exalt slam more, and they want to have a better sync for exalt slamming, so you have a bit of RNG on weapon, and they want your progression to actually take a little bit longer than it currently does. And also it does make runes sort of feel slightly better in that sense. But overall this is a big nerf to player power, especially during the mid to end game, and you're going to find it very difficult, or some people will find it very difficult to actually get those perfect items that they're looking for. Next, and something that's a bit more positive, is the divine orb are now more common drop chance. So that's a very big change and a good one at that. And I just want to highlight something that they've said in a recent interview that they've done around this. So they are making this change as they're coming out of the Fate of the Valley League, where the temple mechanic was obviously dropping a lot of raw divine orbs. And because they've nerfed the snaking strategy on the temple itself, and you'll generally be getting a lot less divine orbs, they wanted players to not feel like they've nerfed the drop chance of divine orbs, so therefore they've actually buffed it quite a bit. They haven't said exactly how much, but it'll be interesting to see how often they drop now from your regular maps. Now that, in conjunction with this other change that they've made to corruption, where the corruption outcome that randomizes the numerical values of modifiers on a item beyond the normal range, now multiplies each modifier based on the current value instead of randomizing the value. Now this is going to work well with the new divine change, as it means that we have sort of a divine sync, and now they've also removed hormone of corruption to no longer be obtained, so that this means that we'll be hopefully spending our divine orbs more trying to get the perfect, or at least close to the perfect values on our items. And just to sort of add on to all the currency changes that are coming, now greater and perfect currencies will be a lot more rare. Overall, I think these are some good changes, especially the divine orb change. With it being more common, now people are more likely to use these on items, and as well as the corruption change that will also make them use this more often. And this hopefully is going to be a decent divine orb that we desperately needed, because right now obviously the state of the economy and people are not really using divine orbs as much, so this hopefully should be a good change coming to 0.5. And next, and something that a lot of people are not really talking about, is the new item bases that are coming to the game, and especially those ones that are coming from the breach mechanic, very specifically the absent amulet that is coming to breach. Now this straight up gives you a certain level of a free spirit gem on the implicit modifier on the amulet itself. Now this can be very insane, especially if you get the right spirit reservation skill for your gem, and this could range up to whatever level 19 we've seen so far. Maybe we can get it up to level 20, and it just means that you're going to get a free spirit gem without any spirit cost. And this obviously means that it's going to act a bit like the simplex amulet from PoE 1 that we have, and it's going to be very insane, especially if you get the right one. You could probably sell it for quite a bit. And it's great that they sort of adding this sort of variety to the game, and even within each bases there's specific implicits that you can get that are different from each other. So you could end up getting a really bad one, or you could end up getting a really insane one, and in that case one that maybe fits your build and you're just running around with an extra aura basically. So very good change, very sought after change. Well, I think a lot of people are going to be doing breach just because of this, and hopefully farming and rolling the sort of slot machine for a good version of the amulet. And another big change coming in terms of items is the unique item leveling upgrades that are coming in the game. So once you unlock the Verisium Runecrafting in Act 3 at the Mystic Refuge, you can physically upgrade low level uniques to a higher base type. Now this is pretty big change, as it allows you to upgrade a low level weapon, increasing its base damage up to endgame levels, as well as upgrading your armor in terms of the defense, and as well as adding the runic ward mechanic onto them. And this in general fixes a massive flaw where the endgame uniques around level 30 to 60 felt totally useless once you start hitting maps. Now some of the cooler uniques you find in campaign can actually be very good, and you can scale them up to be viable for endgame. Overall, it's a very nice change, as the uniques haven't felt very good in this game in general, and especially the low level ones, you don't tend to use them past maybe 10 levels or something like that. So this will mean that those uniques that you end up sort of runeforging will actually be viable for a lot longer of a time. In terms of how much viable, we'll have to still wait and see, but I'm sure that they will be a lot more used and uniques will be part of a lot more players' gear. Now, in terms of the campaign, they've made quite a few big changes in the campaign. Now, they haven't actually added a campaign skip, which is, in my opinion, a very good thing, but they have added massive visuals and environmental tells that have been added throughout all the campaign maps to stop you sort of getting lost. So this is very good, especially for players that are running the campaign sort of the second, third, fourth time, etc. And an example of this is in Act 2 Hunting Grounds. A literal trail of locust will guide you towards the entrance of Prey Zone, and there's also be sort of post signs that are hanging up telling you the directions to go. And in other zones you'll have giant cracks on the ground or bloody trails that will lead you to sort of the direction that you want to go. This will obviously help in terms of traversing the map the second, third time around for each player, and once you're sort of aware of all these tells, you'll be able to get through the campaign very quickly. So overall, it's a big, massive quality of life win for leveling alts or just speed running through the campaign, and I'm sure there'll be players out there that will know all these from the top of their heads and be able to go around these maps in the campaign very fast. And it does help, as the sort of campaign areas sometimes do feel very, very large, and in general it will just allow you to sort of avoid running into dead ends. And last but not least, they are adding a in-game build plan. Now this is massive. This is something the community has been asking for a very long time, and it's going to help a lot of players, especially newer players that want to follow a build guide, as you can directly import the build into your game client, and this can be done via a .build file, kind of similar to how you do the filters. Now, depending on how build planners set up their guides, etc., this will usually show you the steps in the passive tree where you want to go and where you want to head towards at what level, and it will actually show you which passives to click and which ascendancy points to get. And the very nice thing is that they've also added notes onto your gear slots, so build makers can sort of highlight the top 3 or top 5 modifiers that you want to get per slot. And if there's certain uniques that you need for certain slots, those notes will be added once you hover over those item slots. Now this is nice, especially like I said, for newer players, extremely nice. For even players that just like to follow build guides, it's very nice. For build makers, there's a bit more sort of adding to their sort of build planner and whatnot. But in general, it's very nice, and it's going to be nice not having to sort of tab out or look at a different monitor every time you level up or every time you want to check something. Overall, there's a lot of changes coming, a lot of big changes coming, stuff that's going to shift the meta quite a bit. I'm looking forward to it. These are just the actual changes that they're adding, and not even the endgame stuff, which is a whole different ball game, and the endgame is going to be obviously completely reworked to be different and hopefully more sort of playable in terms of how long we play it. But these changes in themselves are really, really big, and they're going to impact the game quite a lot. and hopefully, players like this, but they have said they are going to make changes during the league and during the patch itself, so they can make any updates if people feel like some of these changes are not so good. So yeah, one to keep out for, but thank you very much for watching. Give it a thumbs up if you like the